That'd just be really moist cheese.
Okay, good. Good one.
Is that how we started?
The tavern you're in is actually quite busy, which is good for you. Yes, the crowd is quite shady, but there's also a lot of chatter, which means you can talk quite freely. Maybe one of the reasons why the tavern's so busy around this time is the selection of dancing girls and occasional boys, which keeps the crowd quite healthy and quite loud and cheerful. There's even like a poster on the outside of the tavern before you went in of, the Dancing Three or whatever. So the tavern is leery, loud, a little shady. Perfect place for you to take a break and figure out what to do next.
Well.
Yeah, right.
I still vote you take her on in the arena.
Yeah, she really hurts, actually.
Huh? You can do it.
I'm not sure,
But she won't just take on you, she'll take on all of us, it seems.
Right, yeah, but what about the big armored golems?
I have a plan. So, you've seen me become a T-Rex before, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen Serena cast Fly on me while I was a T-Rex.
I literally could not forget, even if I tried.
What if I fly really high up, and then the fly spell, just doesn't work anymore, and as a T-Rex, I fall on her? That's gotta do some damage.
What if...
Seismic slam.
Wouldn't that kill you?
Well, here's the thing. I would take a bunch of damage, but T-Rexes are pretty strong, and then I would revert back to my normal self. And then take more damage. Yeah, sure, it might continue to hurt me, but it might not do enough damage to kill me.
The bigger concern I have, while it would be a sight to see, is the logistics of trying to aim onto what we saw as quite an agile creature from a great height with little control over your fall.
Well, what if I fly directly at it from above, and right before I hit, you just... No, would that work? I don't think that would work.
Well,
you just drop your spell?
It's not that I don't like the idea, Riley, but perhaps if we adjust it slightly. You turn into a giant flying T-Rex and you grasp the large metal creature in your mouth, at which point you proceed to fly relatively high. Really quite high, like she's like, oh, what would happen if I fell from here? I would die. And then you say, good night, but you can't because you're a T-Rex. So you sort of let her go and hope that she drops, because she'll probably cling to your body like with claws sort of embedded in you, and it'd be pretty horrible for you. But eventually you can knock her off and she'll fall all the way. And it won't just be standard falling, because her body is encased in metal, which bodies are not designed for. So the weight distribution would be quite, well, all the weight is on the outside, so the inside bits will squish first.
I like it.
That does seem a somewhat more realistic plan, yes.
At least she'd get to go out with a bang.
Yes.
No, really? No laugh? Gil, come on.
No, that's the most absurd plan I've ever heard.
Really? What would you suggest?
Anything that doesn't involve a flying T-Rex slamming or lifting this person up into the air and then dropping them.
Why not?
Or dropping onto them.
Okay, then how about I pick up the giant stone things and drop those on her?
That could work.
The giant stone what thing?
The giant metal armored golem thingies.
Yeah.
Ogres, trolls, whatever.
From what I understood, she fights alone in the arena, which would be advantageous to us, but means no projectile ogres.
Yes. I think she's pretty prideful.
Again. and then just try to hold her down while you guys just keep hitting her.
I do not fear our ability to kill her 1-on-5 is, I do not think, in great question, assuming we have the correct equipment. The difficulty I foresee is how are we going to get out with our hides intact after doing so? There will be a crowd, as the drow woman said.
Would they not honor the fact that it was a battle?
Probably not.
Yeah, these drow are really honorable.
My assumption is they're so up their own asses they don't even have that contingency in mind.
I particularly that's a good one. I particularly liked how she was like, "Oh no, my oracle is dead. Kill everyone." Right? That's honorable.
Yeah, that was kind of a bit much.
It was a bit tight.
She's definitely extra.
She is by definition extra.
If you transform someone with your spell,
Yes.
it transforms their clothes, yes?
I actually don't know. I think so.
It has so far.
Yeah, if it has so far, then yes. Yes, it does. I just double checked.
So no, we cannot get the armor off her by transforming her and then de-transforming her.
Well, that is what I was wondering, because if
Yes.
Visceral is resistant to magic, then it might not all want to shrink down to that size.
Well, but that was the point, that the drow in the tower said that it was not particularly resistant to magic, or at least that it could be damaged by magic.
The Mad Drow did say this. That and acid. I did want to test one of those theories, but yeah. Well, the good thing is, she no longer has this oracle to find where we are. Which means we could, in theory, set the terms of our next engagement. If we send her a message saying this is where we are, she would most likely come, yes, with her soldiers and her beasts. So we either have the choice to fight her with a backup and an easier way out, or one-on-one in the arena, which we are not certain that these beasts are not involved in the games.
I kind of like the idea of the arena, to be honest.
While it would be a grand statement for what we are doing here, I cannot imagine that yes, the Warstrider and the drow in the stands might not be conniving enough to consider contingency plans. My concern is that from what we have seen, you have met the Daimao in your dreams, correct? What little you said, she does not give the impression of being the type of person to leave something to chance, and assumedly the Warstrider would inform her, and she would have contingency plans in place even if the Warstrider does not.
I don't think she would. I will quote her directly. She is not worried or scared or even a little bit apprehensive.
Is
You never
that
let
because
someone you're actually scared of know you're scared of them.
there is also the fact that to her we are probably flies trapped in her web.
No,
Has the opportunity to crush us, then she might well take it.
I think we're more like wasps flying around her web.
And if we go to the arena, we risk becoming stuck in the web.
Yes, but what is your suggestion otherwise?
I am afraid I have nothing beyond luring her out somewhere else. I believe it would be easier to fight her and her ogre guards in a place of our choosing without an audience than it would be to fight in the arena. But I do not think the arena is necessarily a bad idea. It is just there are a lot of risks there.
I would agree with you. I think the best plan would be, as you say, to lure her out to an area. We know she travels by portal to arrive quickly. As soon as she steps through, Riley can attempt to dispel the portal. If it works, we may slice a couple of the ogres in half and stop the rest of the reinforcements. If not, then we tried and we will have to fight them as is. Your storm sphere, is extremely effective versus large groups of people. You can slaughter the fodder relatively quickly while we run away from her until we are ready to end her. She hurts an awful lot with that silk blade of hers. It is not much fun.
What if we come up with a plan for leaving the arena? Like, we're saying that people might rebel and people might attack us after we win, but what if we come up with a plan to deal with that?
Right, yes, but that would involve most likely saving spells like yours and Gilwin's Dimension Doors, which, while extremely useful, are a vast channeling of magical energy, correct? Not going to be used to damage her.
Right, but do we not have allies that could help? Do we not have allies that could make it so that we could get away if they aren't honorable?
I mean, potentially the Ronin could launch some form of distraction.
Just saying, if they wait to hear from us that we've defeated her, and then they perform an attack on the arena itself, maybe we can get away.
I would wager that the arena is relatively well guarded, however. It is an execution stage of sorts. You do not want your prisoners to be rescued by their friends.
If the Ronin were among the crowd, however, who's to say that a riot could not break out in a stadium?
You're saying we like Attack of the Clones them, they all pull out their lightsaber.
Yes.
It could work.
I feel like if we have a bunch of allies in the crowd for crowd control, it could just...
The problem with this is we are considering a number of scenarios, and while all good and plausible, none are ideal. And while it might be we cannot have an ideal situation in this fight, there are going to be risks however we do this, of different kinds.
I think every idea so far has shown equal risk with equal reward.
Also, have we ever considered that perhaps in the arena magic is somehow bad? Perhaps the War Strider just wants to fight steel on steel?
Well, I mean visceral on steel.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sounds pretty bad.
Certainly, if we are going to go the arena route, I would suggest investigating it first to find out anything we can about it.
I think both ideas have merits, and we should combine the merits of the two. We know that the War Strider spends a large deal of her time within the industrial area, within her factory. We could, with coordination with our Ronin friends, launch several attacks along the area. She will be forced to distribute her forces somewhat to stop all of the attacks. She herself and her ogres would head to us, however. We can make it clear where we are. I stand out when I am in my golden usual form. However, it may risk the lives of some of our allies. This is the biggest plan, to split her forces and lure her out. She cannot ignore them because they will destroy her visceral production plant and she will suffer because of it. And she will not ignore us because she is desperate to bring my head to the daimyo.
I agree. I'm just worried that it seems as though they couldn't get the job done the first time they tried to kill us. And then they couldn't get the job done another time. And now they pretty much threw an army at us and we still escaped. What are they going to throw next? When they find out where we are, I'm afraid that it's not just going to be what we've seen so far, but instead much, much more.
Which may well be the case if it was anyone but the War Strider. But she has shown herself to be proud. She wishes to kill me personally. She begged me to run when she attacked me. She wishes to chase me down and slice my head off. Oh, and anyway, I believe that would be a risk were we dealing with the daimyo, or perhaps even Chelly and Gore. Maybe not the War Strider or the Mad Priestess.
Okay. Well,
she will not have the wherewithal necessarily to summon in greater reinforcements. She will simply know that I am here for a short period and leap at the opportunity to end my life. Or at least that would be what I would be betting on.
well then I think this plan works well to have them come. My one change would be to have Gil try to dispel the portal that they come through, because I have a spell that might be able to take a bunch of them out of commission as well.
Gladly.
You up to the pressure? It's a lot of pressure, Gilwyn.
Yeah, I'm up. I'm up for this.
Or we could potentially both try. Maybe that would help.
I have spent quite a bit of time with you, and your dispel magic business probably won't cut it. You seem to spend quite a bit of time chanting. You need the one where you know how they do something and you like snap your fingers and they don't. I mean, I feel like I don't really know. I feel like both would work, but obviously one is much faster, the snap, than the chant. If you follow my meaning.
One is stopping one from ever happening. One is getting rid of one that's already occurring.
Oh, that is... I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, as you say, the dispel magic is the way to go.
Perhaps both of us dispelling the magic at the same time might make it easier versus one of us doing it.
I agree.
I don't know. That sounds really like... I don't know. Does magic... Is it additive? Is it's multiplicative? I can't say that one.
It's hard to say.
Right?
I'm not very familiar with dispelling magic, to be honest. I've done it on occasion, but I'm not sure of the specifics. We can try.
I think this is a reasonable plan.
Worst that happens, we all die. She says with like a smile on her face.
Right. At any rate, any plan should wait until after we have access to Virustal. We do not want our main fighters unable to scratch for War Strider.
Yeah, and I feel like we were going to ask her about it. Wow, well, that is something we forgot to ask. Whoo!
I could ask her.
No, I mean we were going to ask the lady.
What do you believe we forgot to ask, Mail?
I believe there may have been some questions with regards to Visceral.
We established it's what can damage it. If there was anything beyond that, then yes.
The production of, yes.
Ah, yes.
Never mind. I believe that this was quite a successful trip. We dealt with this Oracle business quite quickly.
Now, I do not want to sound too pessimistic about this. That seemed to be... I am not sure that Oracle was someone special. They appeared to be chained to some sort of device. My fear would be if that device is simply is what does the main aspect of that. It's rather than it being the person, the device was what allowing her to find us. In which case, all they would need to do would be find another drow priestess and sling her into the same thing.
The person is a conduit.
Yes, this is speculation, and I do not wish to alarm you, but that woman went down very easily in my storm. She was not a strong woman. Perhaps
Why
that
would
is
you
the
be
next-
strong if you are an oracle?
A fair point, but I would not let our guard down quite so easily just yet. Of course, we cannot let our guard down in this city full stop, but I do not think we should dismiss the possibility that they can still find us with relative ease.
I would wager a guess that that machine is both a chain and a multiplier of how would you say it, amplifies their abilities. However, I'm not particularly well versed in these things, but for example, gnomish blast pistols, you simply cannot put any crystal in there and they will function. It has to be the correct sort that holds the correct energy. I should imagine that most machines function in this way, and that if you attempt to put the incorrect sort in, it will do nothing or go boom.
You might well be right. It is. My storms might well have damaged it beyond repair in any case. I did not get to see it upon our exit.
It was quite badly melted, actually. It was pretty grisly sight. Horrible.
In that case, there might not be any cause for concern, but it is merely something to keep in mind.
Alright, so, with some plans, what are you going to do immediately? The plan really, you mentioned, that you want to kind of scout out the arena beforehand. You also want to get your weapons.
I would suggest we go speak to the rebels, for one, or the Ronin, the Rebel Alliance. For one, we know that we're going to need to speak to the blacksmith to get visceral weapons. On the other hand, we also know that we're going to need to speak to them to have their assistance in any form of raid, which I think is the best plan. We could possibly scout out the arena as well, but I personally, and as Vale, would be keen to avoid loitering around the arena for now.
Alright, so to the Rebel Alliance. You're gonna get a medal aside from Riley. There's a reference to the first Star Wars movie where it seems like Chewbacca doesn't get a medal, but actually he does. But Wookiees don't like medals because it's kind of the wrong way of appreciating good deeds. So he ends up giving it away to a little girl instead. It's a very touching thing about Wookiee culture. Anyway.
George Lucas meant that.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely not some writer putting in something after the fact, as is most of Star Wars lore.
Rip Star Wars lore.
I still like it. It's not good. I like it.
It's not canon anymore.
There's a new canon that's better. You are very careful about leaving and going your way back to the Weavers, the rebels who have a slave army under the city of Narashiro in the furthest ruins. You take your time, very sensible. You get there by the time, at the end of the cycle, when most people are preparing their guard for the night, preparing rests, things like that. All of you are pretty tired, and Vale is very injured. One of those things you especially would notice on a long walk down city is like, oh yeah, that's not good.
But don't worry, it's just some more of my blood.
I'm used to seeing it by now.
Do you want to sort of camp now, or talk to the Ronin now, or whatevs? Yo, instruct me. The guard around here, they usually are pretty, they check you when you come in, but they know you by now. They're pretty relaxed about it.
I think talking to the Ronin makes the most sense to get this plan going.
Yeah, because they'll probably need the most time to prepare, so if we let her know ASAP, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
We probably want to speak to the big boss Nass.
You go across. You go across to the sort of command section of the ruins here. If you remember, this is kind of the ruins of an ancient waterway, and it's got all the pillars that keep the stone roof up. Some ruined, some not. The area in the center, it's kind of a center around a fire where they keep all the notes and writings, most of it on stone, is where the proud Ronin, who's the leader of these people, is, who would give you somewhat of a greeting while being talked to by a couple of other people who... There's always people who don't look like they belong here, who are most likely scouts and spies and things like that. This is very much a battle of spycraft. And he kind of waves... she waves them away. And she will sit on sort of the edge of the stone ring and look at you and will say that there was quite a battle up in the highest quarters of the city. The Warstrider found you, I heard.
Yeah, she had some sort of oracle that let her find where we are.
She doesn't have an oracle anymore.
Velgrens.
That is wise. It would be most beneficial to us to kill every single oracle the Church of Idrith brings from its deepest places. They could be very dangerous to us. Though luckily, divination in such degree is not a precise science, so we should still be safe.
Now, we had a request and an idea.
Considering you are not bringing me the Warstrider's head, I imagine that it is to do with slaying that beast.
I'm afraid so, and I'm afraid it would incur some risk on the part of your men.
She will kind of shift her position, but not interrupt you.
Gil, tell her the plan. She's quite intimidating. She's in your niche.
You tell Serena, tell her the plan.
We
And nod at Veil, like, yeah.
Serena looks at the two of them and just sighs and says, in short, we believe that the best way to deal with the Warstrider is for your people to attack the factories while we present an available target and let the Warstrider know where we are. She should come to us, as she has shown interest in us and a determination to be the one to hunt Vale down, whereas your people can cause a commotion, fight, do some damage if possible,
And keep
draw
her
some of her
armies
forces
busy.
away. Exactly, keep her army busy and then fall back with minimal casualties once as much damage as possible has been inflicted safely.
Multiple raids, more for resources than to destroy the factories, would do that quite efficiently. The factories do have a standing guard force. That could work. It would garner you some advantage. Are you thinking of taking her on in her arena?
The precise location we have not yet decided. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. The arena itself, if we can lure her there without risk of a crowd, would be potentially ideal, but...
The crowd will only be there when a fight is on. If you go between cycles or when it is closed for repairs or quite definite cleaning, there will be no spectators. I spent quite a lot of time in there before I was branded and cast out. I quite enjoyed my trips to the Garden of Blood. There will always be the gladiators. Most of them are kept beneath the structure. They can look out. They won't be able to give much assistance. And I know that some of the upper echelon of the Daimau's leadership can come and go at that place with great speed. Most likely some translocation.
We encountered some form of portal transportation that allowed the War Strider and her entourage to arrive outside where we were very swiftly.
The most elite of our people use that magic. It makes it much easier to travel around the city. I am aware that they do so into the Queen's box, I suppose it would be what you would call it, for the Daimars closest to watch the arena battles, as they are usually the ones paying and funding these things, and they want to see the War Strider executing the most heinous, treacherous traitors in the land. After all, you've all been assassinated there before.
I prefer the term executed, but sure. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, that going there in a off cycle or when there's relatively few people there could be a good idea. This translocation that you appear to be aware of, we had a plan that when the War Strider uses it to arrive at the location, we would disrupt it, thereby cutting off reinforcements.
If you could get into the finer quarters of the rooms connected to the Garden of Blood, then maybe. But the magic circle they use is hidden from public view.
Would appear to be of different nature than to how precisely she arrived.
This is a standing portal, a standing circle that can be activated by powerful mages in the high city. I know that the War Strider occasionally does use them, but if what you're saying is true, then this was most likely a more unstable portal created temporarily to translocate them.
Yes, in
Those
which
are
case...
more dangerous because you could run through to the other side, as where you cannot do so to a magic circle.
Good. Which, if it's less stable, then it should be easier to disrupt. Knowing that, would you suggest that we choose the arena as the location to fight? Bearing in mind that her use of one of these unstable portals could potentially benefit us.
The arena might be a good shout because she would be so confident that she might make mistakes. But it is her hunting ground. I have seen her dancing off the roof of that building, stringing people up many a time. You would be hard-pressed to find better arenas against her unless you go outside of the city because she can climb. You fight her in the city streets, no matter how much you clear it of anything that would be useful, she will climb the rooftops and leap down upon you. I think the arena would be useful, perhaps if you have the little bit of time beforehand. They change out the flooring of the arena quite often for different challenges, different feats. Sometimes pits of acid, usually metal spikes that allow people to either jump to their deaths or stand still and be killed. Depending on the layout of the arena, or you could get people to change it, maybe you could get more advantage out of that.
Like you say, if we go in a cleaning routine, then they will be cleaning the the workings.
They'll be cleaning the workings, and you might be able to use some of the deception that you have been using to get the arena. If you make the arena flat ground, she will still have the roof that she can climb to. She uses her blade Splinter to travel quite far distances quite quickly, but a roof and flat ground would be most useful for your group.
This is very useful. Very useful. Thank you.
How long would it take for you to go about getting the men to make this attack?
There's one more matter.
You have magic that can send messages long distance. Assuming that you do not start this fight in an hour, I can organize my people.
That is very good to hear. There is one slight issue still. The visceral weaponry we will need to penetrate her armor.
Yes.
We have acquired a relatively large sum of the raw materials.
And
However,
our
it would-
blacksmith has to sell it to convert it. Yes, I'm aware.
Yes.
She's my blacksmith.
It will take some time, however, I believe.
She already has some. It is dangerous to sell the whole lot at once, but there is haste in what you intend to do. I know that she has acquired some blades, which will be something. You could wait longer, but the longer you wait, the more likely the War Strider will continue to hunt you out.
Indeed. We do not wish her to find another oracle.
And the last thing you wish is for her to fail so continuously that the Daimao sends her own samurai to assist.
Indeed. Very well. A few more days wait, I think. Would you be able to tell us when the next cleaning cycle on the arena would be? Would you be able to find out?
It would most likely be between every 2-day cycle, I think. I can have some people ask appropriate questions.
Thank you. If you would excuse us now, I require some rest.
Please rest, bathe, clean yourselves. We have fresh water. This is the one thing we have in plenty.
Thank you again.
She will say a little prayer in Drow Elvish that doesn't quite translate. And kind of get up and move to talk to some other people who kind of really look like the sort of noble spies going around.
Well,
Swell.
we had a perfect source of information on the arena right under our noses.
Yeah, well, I mean, we killed the Oracle, which we wouldn't, this plan wouldn't work without it.
No, absolutely. I am merely suggesting that it is good fortune after a bit of bad fortune with our previous endeavor, even if it did turn out well.
This is true, but obviously good things come in bad packages, like killing that Oracle in the bad package of an attack by the War Strider.
Quite.
And Riley just lets out a sigh. Ugh.
Well,
So, who's getting fancy new weapons?
Well, obviously me, because all of you are abysmal when it comes in this skill.
Indira would need a good weapon.
This is true.
I think I could beat you in a duel any day.
Oh really?
Yeah, I do.
No magic.
No magic.
When we are on the surface, Riley, I will take you up on that. And then I will laugh when you are in the dust.
Fair enough. And then I will take you up on dancing with me, and then I will laugh when you're in the dust.
I could dance. I really, really
You could dance if you want to.
Yeah.
You could leave your friends behind.
if this was a TV show, the conversation that them two just had would confirm that Riley is going to die this episode or next.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Death flag and a half.
Yep. I'm wearing a red shirt right now, guys. For sure.
It's like, well, when we get up on the surface, I'll take you up on that. And there's just a silent man on the side, just raises a flag.
All right, so long rest.
Long rest,
Woo.
our asses.
You most likely bathe your wounded elf in the clean spring water of this place.
Oh, Gil, scrub my back. Gentle.
It's actually quite creepy, because usually you have like big scars or things that are magically healed, but the War Strider's left is just very perfect, thin, but quite deep cut.
Oh, it's like a huge paper cut.
Yeah, it's like a huge paper cut.
That's
That actually does need some like stitching shut, because even though you did heal the wounding, so you got a lot of stuff to do in your rest. But you're used to stitching each other back together. Come morning. What's the plan? You get given some food here. It's that kind of strange algae growth that's kind of tasteless.
Algorage. You see where I'm going with this?
I know where you're going. It doesn't work.
Algul.
Algul.
No, I don't want to eat that.
Silver for monsters.
I'm going to, at some point, just pop in to see a blacksmith and basically ask for if, in addition to the Virustel weapon, she can basically get me a mithril half plate. Or some mithril that she can work into a half plate for me.
The blacksmith will turn to you and will say, "It would have been useful if your giggling comrades stole some mithril when they were deep inside the factory.
We're definitely like just
with
outside.
A grand, with perfect foolproof disguises, but we can aim to steal some when we are raiding the place."
That would be ideal. I'm still not fully back to my best in half plate anyway, so it would not be for the dealing with the war strider that I would need it.
Now I have been waiting for you and your friends. I have for you 3 weapons. These are all that I can acquire before arousing suspicion. And will open a case. It's kind of a soft plush case, and inside are 2 long swords and a warhammer, a maul, a great hammer. All of them shining with the Vystril. Coming to a sharp point. The great hammer has, even a sharp point to the end of it.
There was 2 long swords and
2 long swords and a maul.
Well, I believe I know which one Indira will be using then.
Yes, I picked that one up for your strong little lady.
Yeah, it suits her.
My thanks for your effort in acquiring this.
You'll find this metal not only useful for defeating the war strider, but creatures of metal, even walls can be broken with Virustel. Just so you know, it does double damage to constructs and objects.
Cool.
Objects very rarely comes up, which is why I added the constructs bit. But it does sometimes,
Let me add that.
Need to make a quick escape for a wall.
I'm gonna take one of the long swords.
The hammer? Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's taking the long swords? I kind of imagined it was Vale and Gilwyn.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. I missed the Moonblade.
They're very light as well, because they're quite large, but they're elven weapons, so they're quite light and precise. They're chromatic. They literally are that kind of chrome CGI effect that doesn't look realistic, the way they kind of move through the air, and they have just such a sharp edge to them.
How am I spelling this metal?
I can find it for you.
It's in the Battle Masters of the Drow.
Oh yeah, because it's
VRSTYRAL. Because I keep calling it the wrong thing.
Vystril.
Dean, can I give you
Virus
some
still.
Drow papers from the ex-warden?
Can you give me some?
Yeah, I picked some
They're
up.
in
I just wanted to
Undercommon.
have a quick look through, have a read, because they're in my invent, and I can't add that longsword for some reason. So I'm going to delete them from my invent and try and add that longsword to see if it works.
Fair.
Okay.
It didn't work.
Roll 20 just being roll 20.
I was on a stream with someone who worked for Roll20 recently, and I was like, oh no. I must be polite.
The thing is, it's a great system. It just has a lot of hiccups.
A bit of weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's like an old space
I added
station.
it
Like
for
you
you.
take a wrong
Fair.
turn down a corridor and you like see a weird, creepy alien. You're like, what the?
I added it for you.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Yeah. No, it's amazing how well Roll20 works. There's just always things that don't quite work, and you're like, oh, it was just rubbish, when really it's running like 10,000 D&D games
Yeah.
at every moment.
I'm not one for these whole sweepy stations. First dialogue, so cool. Cool.
Alrighty. So, you know what? Why don't we take another break? Our breaks are going to be a bit weird because Neil's computer blue screened. While you figure out what you want to do next. And that'll do that.